Now I have a TV that I think is the best value Sony TV that you can buy today, and it is the SONY X90J. Now I've had it about 9 months-ish, but I have noticed how much the price has changed. And this TV has had a lot of mixed reviews, from the go-to Sony TV to don't buy this Sony TV. And I think this TV has mixed reviews because it just does everything okay. Hang with me. I now want to reframe this TV in your mind a little bit. I think that this is the best Sony TV you can buy now because it does everything okay. So what does value mean anyway when it comes to TVs? It doesn't mean the best TV, and it doesn't mean the cheapest TV. So it's some middle point, and exactly where that is subjective. But I'm going to break down this TV and hopefully explain to you why I think that this could be the best value Sony TV that you can buy. If you're after a Sony TV, then this could be the most bang for your buck. So this is Sony's high to mid-range LED TV. Now, yes, OLED is going to be off of the table. Even after a year, you're still looking at close to $2,000 for a 65-inch A80J. This 65-inch X90J you can get for under $1,000. So what do we have? Well, it's a 4K full array LED TV. It supports Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, and DTS:X. We have HDMI 2.1 for you gamers and a 120Hz panel. It comes pre-installed with Google TV, which is one of the cleaner TV operating systems available. That also brings tons of other features as well. And we also have Sony's XR processor, which brings us a lot of the image enhancements that Sony are famous for. So, on paper, what a TV! Well, let's put it through its paces. We're going to look at brightness, reflections, motion, colour, gaming, and even just sort of general use too. So first of all, let's just look at the design. It is a bit of a hefty TV. Being a full array, it's a bit thicker at the back. Compared to some of the competition, it is a bit fat. It sits on these legs that can be positioned as I have it on the edge, or more central if you're looking at putting it on a smaller unit. And it does sit at a height that is just big enough to get a soundbar underneath it. Now, I got this TV for one main reason, and that is it's not an OLED. Now, don't get me wrong, I love OLEDs. In fact, I really love OLEDs, but sometimes they're just not practical. The perfect black and contrast is just so phenomenally good, but the problem is that they're just not suitable for a bright living space. If you have a TV in a particularly bright room, you can see around the room like the TV's a mirror. And if you have the TV opposite a window, it is actually impossible to watch. In contrast, an LED TV like this one can get much brighter in those bright spaces and can sort of combat some of these issues with reflections. Now, TVs like this X90J have a very aggressive anti-reflective material on them. If the TV is directly opposite a window or a light bulb, then yeah, you're gonna see that. It's not gonna hide that. But in terms of reflections of just objects around the room, you're not going to be seeing any of that. So this will handle it a lot better than an OLED. Now, this TV is still only approaching 800 nits on a 10% window, so it's not actually the brightest LED TV you can get, but being just that little bit brighter, mixed with this anti-reflective coating, it makes a massive difference. Now, how are the blacks? Well, being a VA panel, we do get some fairly decent local dimming. Now, there are only 24 local dimming zones, which doesn't sound like a lot, especially with some of the competition being like mini LED with hundreds of local dimming zones. Now, if I'm using a test pattern like you can see here, it is fairly noticeable. However, it actually doesn't perform that badly in real scenes. And in all honesty, when watching films, I didn't really notice it. Now, blooming on this TV is fairly noticeable, especially in very high contrast scenes. That's a bit of a shame, but you can't win them all. Now, because this is a VA panel, the viewing angles aren't great. Now, if you're straight on watching TV, it does look fantastic, but as soon as you start getting to about close to 45 degrees, you do notice quite a noticeable degrade in the picture. And if you're on more of an angle than that, well, then this thing is pretty much unwatchable. So do bear in mind, if you have a big room where people are going to be sitting all the way around it, you might struggle with this TV for that. Now the X90J runs Google TV, which is a pretty clean operating system. Now Google TV is packed with tons of features, things like Apple AirPlay and Chromecasting, tons of other things like making watch lists from your phone and stuff like that. So it is very intuitive. It also uses things like your watch history to make proper personal recommendations to you. So if you're the type of person who spends a lot of time flicking through looking for something to watch, then that might be of interest to you. One of the things I really like about Google TV is that it is a very clean look. You're not overcrowded like LG's WebOS. Now navigating around the TV is fairly simple. There are some shortcuts on the remote. The dial isn't the biggest, so it's a little bit fiddly when you're trying to type on a keyboard, but you do have the option of using your voice to do things like search for programs and stuff, so it's not the end of the world there. Navigating around on the TV though did show me that it is a little bit slow. You do notice a little bit of a delay when trying to move around, and it isn't as crisp and sharp as you might want it to be. Now out of the box, the colours are fantastic. So well done, Sony. Now without properly calibrating the display, the best way to get a good picture is to stick it in a mode like cinema mode. But even without calibrating, this TV does do a fantastic job of getting those colours accurate. Now how does it handle gradients? Well, the X90J knocks it out of the park again. There is some customization for how much gradient handling you want. If you turn it up a bit too high, then it is going to sort of reduce some of the sharpness on things like textures like faces and make everything look a little bit too smooth. But if you have that at a fairly low setting, it does a good job. And I think the best way of testing it out is just to open up Disney Plus. And you can see from looking at that background what sort of banding this TV does. Now the sound on the X90J is lacking a little bit. Considering how fat it is, you'd expect them to sort of squeeze some better speakers on there, but unfortunately not. It does sound just a little bit tinny and is lacking that sort of bassy punch. So if you are looking for something with a little bit more of a kick, then I would potentially hook this up to an external sound system. And now if you are planning on saving a little bit of money with this TV, then maybe some of that money can go to a soundbar that gives you a bit of a pop. I don't know. It's up to you. Now what about motion? Motion handling on this TV is actually pretty great. Playing 24 FPS content on this TV works without a hitch, and the TV can smooth judder with very minimal artifacts. So you can see if I freeze frame my camera here, there are some artifacts, but nothing that's going to be massively noticeable in a busy scene. So if you are the type of person who is going to be using this smoothing and anti-judder system, then I wouldn't worry too much about it because it does handle itself pretty well. So the response time on this TV is only about 3.9 milliseconds. So if any fast moving objects are going around the TV, it's going to leave very minimal dark smearing. What about gaming? Well, I was actually very impressed about the gaming capabilities of this TV. So recently Sony did update the TV with support for VRR, or variable refresh rates. Now if you have a gaming PC or the latest generation Xbox, you'd have been able to use VRR for a little while. They have also now just updated the PS5, which means you'll be able to use that feature using the PS5 with the Sony TV. But if you have managed to get your hands on the PS5, there is a feature called Perfect for PlayStation 5. Now that brings two features: auto HDR tone mapping and auto genre selection, which means that your picture is always going to be the best possible for what the PS5 recommends with its games. So if you are looking for a TV for gaming and you want the best option for your PS5, then maybe the Sony is going to be one for you. Now the input lag is pretty good. It's not as good as OLED TVs, but it's only about 10 to 11 milliseconds. So that is still very, very quick, and you're probably not going to notice any issues with that. So all in all, it is a pretty good gaming experience on the X90J. It's not the greatest TV I've ever had, and it's not the best TV that I've got at the moment, but for the price that you can pay for it, it is the best value. Do you not agree with me? Is there a TV that you think is better value than this one? Stick it in the comments below. Click this video here to see a different video of mine, and guys, subscribe to hear more from me, and I'll see you in the next one. Whoop!